welcome to SusyBLiving's Gardening by the Moon series. Well, I hope you've had a good week and I hope the sun has shone on you. We had a pretty dodgy week actually. Today was really beautiful. It was that lovely end of May, beginning of June. It is the beginning of June. Lovely, lovely weather. It was very still, no wind. It was gorgeous. It was also an unfavourable day, so it meant that I did a lot of tidying up. Mr. N and I both did lots of tidying up. But we start a new week tomorrow and it is going to be the 3rd of June. So I have my little schedule of what I am doing 3rd, 4th and 5th of June. I'm just warning you that this month there are a lot of unfavourable days, and that's because, especially this week, because we are coming up to a new moon. So unfavourable days for me is great at this time of the year because I can get things tidied up. I have been doing lots of other sowing and now I get to tidy up the garden. We actually get to enjoy sitting in the garden. So, if you've got any questions, please put them below. Let me know. The other thing is, if you have been gardening by the moon phases with me, let me know how you're going. What have you sown? What are you going to sow? I've just filmed my what I'm sowing in June video. There's not a great deal. It's even less than May because everything more or less is sown, but I'll give you a little bit of an idea of what you could still sow if you haven't sowed for June. So yeah, like I said, it'd be great if you've got any advice, if there's anything that you found that has worked for you, just put a comment below, and be great to have a little bit of a chat below and see how everybody's going and whether, you know, what have you actually found by gardening by the moon cycles. Has it been a load of rubbish or has it been good for you? That's always interesting. Right, anyhow, let's just get on. So Monday, tomorrow, the 3rd of June, and Tuesday, the 4th of June, are both fruits days on the moon phase calendar. So all the fruits are really getting going at the moment. You know, anything that has a seed in it is considered a fruit. So we're talking tomatoes, cucumbers, courgettes, sweet corn, anything like that is a fruit. And actually sweet corn is quite interesting, isn't it? Because it hasn't got a seed in it, but it is actually considered a fruit. I have to think about that one. Anyhow, so for me, what am I sowing? Again, let's go through my little schedule. So my schedule is always sowing first, transplanting, weeding and maintenance, and then any kind of feeding as well. Okay, so for me, I'm not sowing anything because I'm actually up to date with everything, so that's great. But if you're not up to date, you could still sow courgettes. At the beginning of the video, I just showed you the courgettes that I've got. I've got 3 plants here in the greenhouse that are just looking fantastic, and I've actually been harvesting courgettes from them. I also have a succession of courgettes here in front of me. I will show you. Let's just get these. So I sowed these on my May sow along. I sowed these on the 17th of May. They were very, very slow to get going because I had them outside and we got a really bad cold snap. Very cold, very wet. But they're coming up and that's fine. And these will go outside and these are going to take over from the ones that I've got here in the greenhouse. I always like to start early courgettes because you kind of get to that stage where you just want to start using courgettes. And also, if you don't call them courgettes, you call them zucchini, it's exactly the same thing. So these are what are called summer squash. These are not the ones that are going to cure on the outside to overwinter. They've already been sown. It's a little late for you to sow those now to get a proper harvest, but nothing is stopping you going and buying them from, you know, a garden centre or from a farmer's market or even supermarkets. Nothing's stopping you doing that because they're already on their way. The other thing that you can still sow is beans. I had to do an extra lot of beans because the beans that I sowed for my May sow along rotted as well. I have quite a lot of trays of beans here. Actually, I'm just looking at them. I have my dwarf behind me. They're not up yet. I've got my climbers that are starting to come up. Let's try and find a really good, this one. So these are the Cos Violet climbing beans. Let me just sort them out here. And I've had to put them in the greenhouse because, like I said to you, the cold and the wet was not good. And I had some golden ones, some Neckar gold, and they all rotted. So I had to start again. But I've already got beans out on the allotment. I mean, they're not very happy because of the cold weather. I also have on my seed staging outside, I've got some beans as well that are quite large climbing beans, so they have to go over to the allotment. But there you go. So, word of advice. If it gets cold with you, and when I'm saying cold, I mean under 10 to 15 degrees, mainly during the day. And if it gets cold and wet, you might have to bring your beans in undercover to germinate because they do not like cold and wet. But you've still got a chance to sow beans if you want to. You can also, if you want to, sow them direct outside. So if you've got good soil, you can just stick them in the ground and see what comes up. I never do that because I've got an issue with mice and critters that eat everything, especially slugs. So I always start them in modules just to be, sure. What else can you sow? Cucumbers. So you can do a late batch of cucumbers if you want. You can do cucumbers that can go outside. They're mainly the harder skinned variety cucumber. So they're like a burpless cucumber. Or you could do another batch of cucumbers that you can then grow inside in the greenhouse and you'll have them later on in the year. It's actually worth experimenting with cucumbers because a couple of years ago, I had fantastic cucumbers. Last year was absolute rubbish. And so I just experiment by just sowing them all the time. I had some little patio snackers that I sowed. I sowed 5 seeds, left them outside of my staging outside. They came up, but then the snails started eating them. So I'm left with 2 of those. Anyhow, I've put them on a different table. But I do have other cucumbers coming up. And where did I put those cucumbers? That's a good question. They must be inside. I think they're inside, yes. That's right. And they have to be transplanted out. The other thing, peas and beans. So you can still sow stuff in June if you want to. You may not get a huge harvest, but you'll still get something. Okay, transplanting now. So this is a big transplanting time for fruits. So you've got things like courgette, squash, tomatoes, sweet corn, beans, chilies, melons, all of that stuff can be transplanted out now because I don't think the weather is going to get any worse, says me. Well, the other night we had 6 degrees here in Lincolnshire. That was quite cold. But I think everything is quite established during the day. The heat is fine during the day. So, things are okay. Okay, so that's transplanting. Weeding and maintenance. So we've got a lot going. The main thing that I want to give you advice for is your feeding regime. So feeding regime, especially for tomatoes and chilies. When I start my tomatoes off, and they're only small and they haven't flowered yet, I've got a few here in some buckets, I feed them with a very weak seaweed feed. Once they start flowering, and they've been flowering for about a week or so, I change my feed. So I don't feed at every watering. I feed at every second watering or every third watering. Depends on the actual plant. If the plant is doing really well, then I'll do it every third watering. And then I change my my feed to a tomato feed. I'm using the Grow Well tomato feed at the moment, and it seems to be pretty good. It's the same company that I get my chili focus from. and I'll show you a picture of what it looks like, and I'll give you a link of where you can get it as well. That is what I do with my feeding. The chilies is very simple. I just use Chili Focus. Again, I will show you a picture of it, and you can get it in my Amazon store. And I'll just have a look and see whether you can get the tomato one in my Amazon store as well. You should be able to. If you can, I'll put a link down below, and you can go straight to my Amazon store and get it from there. It's a really interesting, they've got lots of different feeds. Like I said before, I use their orchid feed, which is really good. We'll see how this tomato feed goes through the summer. But the Chili Focus feed, I swear by, and I swear that this year I did not get any issues with aphid, with what do they call, fungus gnats, anything like that, because I fed my chilies with Chili Focus. And the plants are in great condition, all grown from seed. They look fantastic. That is a top quality feed for chilies and peppers. So that is that. So Wednesday, the 5th of June, is an unfavourable day. And I'll give you a heads up because Thursday is as well. And that is because we have a new moon. So on unfavourable days, I don't do any sowing. If I've got transplanting to do and it needs to be done really desperately, I will transplant. I'm not dogmatic like that. The only thing I don't do is sow on an unfavourable day. Of course, I'll do my weeding. I'll do all of that kind of stuff. I'll tidy up. We had a big blitz, like I said to you, today in the garden. And it's a great chance to just take a little breather from sowing. And that's what I do on unfavourables. So that is your moon phase schedule up until, well, Thursday, but I will bring the next video out on Wednesday evening for the rest of the week. I hope that you're all doing well with your growing. I notice on social media that slugs and snails are a big issue this year. I have really, the word of advice from me is just be vigilant, really vigilant. So go out of an evening time because they come out and, you know, if you've got a torch, you can get rid of them that way. Look, if you're a slug pellet person, then of course use slug pellets. But if you're not and you want to be organic, I've tried everything. I've tried eggshells, I've tried those copper rings, I've tried everything. One thing that does seem to work is a mulch of some sort. So there's a product out there. Now, I've never used this product before, and it's called Strulch. And that has a lot of, what do they call it? Not hay, straw in it, and other things in it as well. That seems to stop slugs and snails. I noticed when I used to use the Rocket Grow mulch, I didn't have issues with slugs and snails as well. So if you can try and find a mulch of some sort, that will probably work. Other than that, like I said, just be vigilant. And if you're going to put a seedling out in the ground, make some kind of barrier. The other thing I've also seen is, you know, those copper Brillo pad things, scourer things. Some people use those and they open them up and make a hole in the center and put those down, and they swear by those as well. Look, anything. Oh, and also, if you have got something that works really well, please comment below and let me know, because, oh, I'd love to know if there's something. Garlic spray is another thing that people do as well. But, you know, I just keep at it constantly. I mean, it is quite amazing where they end up. We were doing hedge trimming. We've got some yews in the middle border. Yesterday, Mr. N was hedge trimming them, and he said right at the top of the yew was a huge snail. You can't believe it, can you? But there you go. All right, so thank you again for watching and thanks for sticking with me. I hope things are going well, like I said, and I will see you on Wednesday evening. Give us a thumbs up if you like my videos, and also don't forget to subscribe, because if you subscribe, you will get these videos every single week to just give you a little bit of a schedule and what is coming up. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.